We'll call the Destin City Council meeting to order. Up first, we have the invocation. We do not have a pastor tonight, so if everyone can please rise, we're just going to take a couple of seconds of silence, and then we'll get into the pledge. All right, thank you so much. Councilwoman Hebert with the pledge.
Please join me with your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And a little PSA for everyone online. We apologize, the audio might be a little distorted. We're dealing with some technical issues. We found a somewhat roundabout way to give you audio, but we are just recording it through a microphone, through a speaker. So if there's anything online, we do apologize in advance. All right, moving forward, agenda approval. I just have one thing I was going to add under my name for a project manager position discussion. Does anyone else have anything for?
Yeah, I'd like to pull on the consent agenda 3C for discussion.
All right, got C pulled. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, I'll take a motion in a second.
I'll make the motion.
All right, do I hear a second? Second by Councilman King. All right, all in favor? Oh. All right, we'll vocal it until we get this up and running. Councilman
Yes.
Stevens, yes. All right, Councilman Destin. Is a yes.
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 Yes. Yes. Yes.
All right, I got yeses unanimously, so moved for the for the approval of the agenda. All right, proclamation. All right, well, good evening again, everyone. So as a lot of you probably are aware, September is Suicide Awareness Month. I have been in contact with a group called Florida Fire Watch, and they specialize in doing suicide prevention for military and veterans. And so we wanted to do this proclamation not only for the month for suicide awareness, but also a special recognition to the Florida Fire Watch. And there's a couple stats in here that were a little alarming for me, and that's why we went with them this year. So with further ado, whereas with September being recognized as Suicide Awareness Month, this proclamation was created to raise the visibility of mental health and proactive suicide prevention resources in our community. We want there to be a conversation and a destigmatization of this, and connecting people with the appropriate support services. And whereas in the Okaloosa County, here's the stat, 18 to 24-year-old veterans lead the number of suicides in Okaloosa County, and we recognize this as a community crisis. Whereas the City of Destin publicly places its full support behind those who work in the field of mental health, education, and law enforcement, and whereas we as the City of Destin are asking community members to take a stand to become a watch standard, a free program through the Fire Watch to help recognize sign of veterans in need, helping and making sure they get the resources that they so desperately deserve. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Bobby Wagner, Mayor of Destin, on behalf of the Destin City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2024 as National Suicide Prevention Month in the City of Destin, and encourage all citizens to join in the community in any way that is personally meaningful. We will be providing more information about the Fire Watch program today and throughout this whole month and in the upcoming weeks, and helping individuals and businesses become certain. So one of the goals and the projects that we have going on right now is we are going to try to become the very first city in the state of Florida to become a veteran-safe community through the state's organization called Florida Fire Watch, which is what I mentioned earlier as far as being veteran suicide awareness. So what that means is if you guys go online and sign up, it's about a 45-minute course, and that just gives you guys the resources and the tools to understand what to look for when you see a veteran in need and potentially the resources to provide them. We understand that it's a very touchy subject, and while a lot of us aren't equipped to be the source provider, we can all do our best to give those resources and the talent and I guess make the connection between the professionals with those resources and our veterans in need. In addition, we are going to be asking different hotels and businesses across Destin to partake in this, and hopefully by the end of September, our goal is before November 11th or Veterans Day, that we have the requirements set forth by the Florida Fire Watch to become a designated veteran-safe community. While that's a nice, cute title, at the end of the day, it's all about reducing the numbers of suicide in Okaloosa. I believe the stat was 46 veteran suicides in the past 3 years in Okaloosa alone. And again, based off the proclamation, our highest in the 20s is our ages 18 through 24. So some of the biggest issues in Okaloosa County are our very young veterans or military active members. So that is the reason we are dedicating not only Suicide Awareness Month, but giving special nod to the Florida Fire Watch. So if anyone has any questions, please reach out to me, the city of Destin, or anyone. We are going to be trying to equip everyone with all those resources and the links and the tools. So thank you guys so much. This is an initiative that I'm bringing forward, and I hope that we can hit the target goal. So thank you guys so much. All right, well, that was my very first applause from a proclamation, so I appreciate that. All right, moving right along, public comments. This is your time to speak about anything on the agenda not under public hearings. Everyone has 3 minutes, and we just need your name and address, and the floor is yours. I'm going to start from my right, y'all's left. Anyone? Will? We got Will, then Sandy. Oh, Sandy, then Will. No, Sandy, you're already out. Come on.
Good job, Sandy.
Come on, Sandy.
You're Sandy.
Sandy Trammell, Indian Trail, Destin. I just want to talk to you about the budget. I have some heartburn over this budget that's coming up before you. I think we need to focus on what we truly need and not necessarily what we truly want. What we need is our people to stay here as far as our staff. We need continuity with that. What we need is to raise their salaries. We need a lot of things that will help each individual citizen of Destin, not necessarily the few. And when I look at the things that we're going to borrow money for, certainly undergrounding utilities is number one. A crosstown connector. I'm not real sure that that little extra piece, since we don't have the end of it down there at Stallman figured out yet, is going to benefit us. It's just going to cause another traffic jam in another area of town. So I think those kinds of things need to be worked on before we decide we're going to borrow money for something like that and finish it. I'm also worried about a recession. What I hear from condo owners, what I hear from restaurant owners is they're there. It's coming, it's here, because they're not making the money they think they should be making right now. And of course I know that's subjective. We're all not making the money we think we should. But it scares me. I don't want the city to get in a situation like the town center did at the last recession, because the city doesn't have the money to bail us out if we go through with this budget. So please look and reconsider some of those things. And don't hamstring future councils and future staff with not having the ability to do anything that needs to be done. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. All right, Will.
Council, Mayor, how are y'all today? 744 Kelly Street, William Ellison. I'm here to talk about code, or the lack of. This year, we had carts on the beach. I called numerous times, I emailed numerous times, left numerous complaints, left numerous documentations. No emails back, no text back, no call back, no response back. Now, I worked under all of y'all, maybe not you. I worked under all of y'all. I would've gotten written up, I'd have got fired. What are we doing? Come on. Is this, Troy? I I don't even know what to say here. Can we get some professionalism? Transparency is key, right? If you call in a complaint, make a case. Don't ticket somebody, then say you gave them a warning in the same ticket or the same case that they got a warning. That's not how it works. That's not how the Florida State statute works. And if they're not aware of that, then maybe they should go back to face training. I don't know. I just think that things have been handled unfairly, unjustly. Like she said, there's a recession. We all didn't make the money we were supposed to. I wonder why. Blind eyes being turned? I'm not sure. Questions need to be answered. People's feet need to be held to the fire. I did my job. I crossed my T's, dotted my I's. I did everything by the code. Didn't get anything. I haven't even been able to come here and talk to y'all over the shenanigans that code's done to me. This is the first time I've been able to talk to y'all all summer long. And I'm not even able to say all I want to say, but let's just hold their feet to the fire. Transparency. If somebody calls something in, document it. If it's not out there, all you got to do is boom, boom. Case unfounded. Not go out there and not take any pictures, no documentation. Let's do, right is right, wrong is wrong. Let's hold their feet to the fire. Let's enforce the code. Not, what do we call it, selective enforcement. You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a good day.
Appreciate that, Will. All right, anyone else?
Carrie Harbarger, Rainbow Frost Ice Cream. There was a little frustration there. What I wanted to say was to please be conscientious of dates and stuff, because Councilman Destin was up here and he made mention of some things, and then of course, apparently as you'll see, after he makes mention of it, they go out and write a bunch of tickets, and they weren't written until August. Well, they were hard to track because apparently, and I could be wrong, they can correct us, but they don't keep up with code books and numbers. So, my husband's retired with the sheriff's office, and I know that might not be at the same level of code, even though our code claims that he was part of a police department. We all know that we check tickets out, that, we check tickets out, we assign them, we just don't have ticket books with a bunch of numbers out there that nobody knows who's got. It sets us up for lack of transparency, as I think where some of the aggravation was. And that's all I'm going to say tonight. And if you have any questions I can answer, I will. But that's, I think, was the transparency, was the lack that we don't have. You can't find anything because everything's supposed to be by number, but why number them if they don't care, or if they're turned in, you can't find anything. Now, all of a sudden, since we've mentioned it, and I'll tell y'all, there's a big problem going on. It's not over, so that might be exactly what the frustration was about code. And that's all I can say right now.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comments and move on to the consent agenda minus C. We'll do the consent agenda, then we'll pull C and work on that.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda without C.
All right, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, all right, call the vote. He's working on it. Yeah, there we go. All right, ayes have it unanimously, so moved. Oh, he's not here. Okay. All right, and now C. Councilman Schmidt, do you want to?
Yeah, thank
Lead the
you.
way.
Just for some clarification, Weber LLC is contracted by the FDOT, and then the city does some things, performing litter removal, edging, sweeping, and mowing functions. Well, do we do that through Z? We do that through Z.
Currently, that's correct, sir, yes.
So we get $40,000 approximately from Weber, but then I'm assuming in some way or another we turn around and pay Zeke for services or whatever
Correct.
to do that. Have we, this can either be discussed now or later, but have we discussed with Weber, since they are so highly regarded, to do our services, our maintenance, lawn maintenance?
There is an agenda item later on
Okay.
where we will have part of that conversation.
Okay.
We have not specifically reached out to Weber yet, but depending on certain actions you take, that opportunity will present itself, and we would certainly move forward in that direction with that conversation.
Okay. Sounds good. I can make the motion. Anybody else had something? I'll move that we adopt Resolution 2409, authorize the city manager to execute the contract with Weber LLC.
I'll second that.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussions, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it unanimously passed. All right, moving right along. City Manager, Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be with you, and I'll let you know that I very much appreciate the gracious staff that has worked hard to help me become a part of what we're doing here in the city, and look forward to continuing that as long as my services are needed. So the first item under City Manager is item 4A, which is from our engineering department regarding the Airport Road at Commons Drive pedestrian intersection improvements. You saw some detail in your packet regarding some improvements to crosswalks and lane markings and such that would make that intersection much safer. We're seeing a lot of high volume pedestrian traffic there, and if we, by approving this will allow us to coordinate with the design of the linear trail, which is at about 60%, to make sure they align. So we're at the right time to move this forward to complement what the linear trail will do in that area. So we're asking you to approve moving forward with the design of this facility. It costs us $64,500.
All right, with that, do I have a motion or discussion?
I'll make the motion, Mayor. I move that City Council direct the interim city manager to execute the task order with the city's continuing services consultant, Volkert Incorporated, and fund the design and permitting through the Public Works Safety Committee Fund in the amount of $64,500.
I'll second that.
All right, I got a motion and discussion. I talked during my briefing this morning, so it's nothing that me and Joe didn't talk about. Not only the crosswalks, but I'm definitely interested, and this seems to be on this plan, to allow the green light from Commons going northbound on Airport, when Airport green light going eastbound on Commons is going green. I think some of us have picked that up over time, and I think that'll just help again with the congestion and moving traffic forward. So I'm very excited to see that. And Councilman Destin.
And I don't have my agenda in front of me, but that is a budgeted item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's the only question I had.
Okay, seeing no further questions, I will call the vote. Yeah, they're flagging. Oh man. As soon as I ask for the vocal, it's gonna go. All right, vocal it is.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, ayes have it unanimously, so moved. There it is, look at that. Man, I hate being right.
Confirmation.
All right, Larry, take it away.
Thank you. Next item is from our engineering department regarding the pickleball courts. In August of last year, council directed staff to engage Jenkins Engineering to design a pickleball court area in Indian Bayou Trail between City Hall Annex Building and Public Works buildings. Those drawings are now at 100%. They were presented to the Parks and Recreation Committee on the 27th of August, who voted 7-0 to approve and forward for your recommendation. So following that recommendation, staff would also recommend that you approve this so we can move forward with that project.
All right, Councilwoman Hebert.
I think I have the recommended motion. I move to have City Council approve the 100% construction documents and approve Phase 1, Phase 1A, and Phase 1B for construction, and direct staff to bring back to City Council at a future meeting the necessary budget amendments for City Council consideration.
All right, I do have a motion. Do I hear a second? seconded by Councilman King. Only discussion I have, just almost for the record, for anyone listening, if everything goes to plan, what do we think is our timeline for these courts as far as, I know this is going out to bid, 30 days probably, then do we have an estimate on the construction timeline?
I would, and I'll yield to Joe, but I would suspect we're probably late next year if we can get started by first of 25, probably.
Well, actually, the very next agenda item that we're going to be asking you for is going to be bringing the project out to let, and in that RFP is a tentative schedule of where we think it's going to, what it's going to take to get it constructed. I don't have it up right at the moment,
That's fine.
but it is, okay.
Yes, so, yeah, in the RFP, we estimate the notice of award to be in December, permitting to occur in January, construction to begin in March, and to be completed by December of 2025.
Okay,
Yeah, it'll be about a year-long project once we get it off the ground.
perfect. All right, thank you so much. All right, Councilman Destin?
Okay, we have approximately 400,000 in the budget.
We have $375,000 of existing city money, and we're anticipating another $50,000 grant from FERDAP.
Okay, and until we put it out to bid, we really don't know what it's gonna cost, right?
You're correct.
And I would just be thrilled if it comes in under that amount. If it doesn't, we're gonna have to come back and try to figure out where the money's gonna come from. But that won't happen till December, huh?
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right, seeing no further discussions, calling the vote. All right, there we go. Ayes have it unanimously, so moved. All right, moving right along.
Thank you. 4C is companion to that, where we're asking you to allow us to move forward with putting those plans that you just approved on the street for bids, and that will be the beginning of that procurement process that we would hope to have a award by December.
All right, Councilwoman Hebert?
I move to have City Council approve the draft RFP as presented and release the project for bid.
All right, I have a motion.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Stevens. Just apologize for putting my discussion a little bit ahead of the item. Seeing no further discussions, we will call the vote. All right, sounds like we're about to get some pickleball.
All right. Thank
All right.
you. Next item is item 4D, is from our finance director, was to discuss the 2024 debt issuance and cost comparisons. However, due to the magnitude and complexity of questions that were submitted back to us from our solicitation, we were not able to get those back and answered in a timely manner to allow us to open bids today when they were initially due. So that has been moved back to September 26th is the due date for the bids. Once we get those, we intend to brief you council members individually on what that looks like and bring back at October, I believe it's October 7th, for your council meeting for a decision. But following a request from Commissioner Destin at an earlier meeting, we will have a opinion of probable cost of what the underwriting fees would be in a bond issuance for you to consider as you move forward through that process. So no action there. Item 4E was an update on the upcoming budget. However, what we found and provided was no more than a duplicate of your August 12th meeting, the information that was presented then. So any of the updates from that date till now will be covered in the public hearing later tonight in the budget process. So from there we go to item 4F, which is from our IT department in regards to the Joe's Bio camera situation and status. You asked us to ensure that there were cameras there and they were active, and we have done that. There's one camera that has 2 angles. Those are direct feeds to code compliance and the sheriff's office, so they have the ability to monitor those as they will. So those are live feeds. We also have the ability to stream those camera views live on the city's website. Would cost about $300 a year to have those 2 angles streamed, and that's not a complicated matter. It's just would take a vote of the board that you want them placed on the website. The advantage would be that a citizen could go look and see if there's 9 trailers stacked up to launch. They may want to wait an hour. So something for your consideration.
All right, does anyone have a discussion or a motion on that?
I move that the staff install a public webcam at Joe's Bayou available on the city's public website.
All right,
Second.
motion by Councilman King, second Councilwoman Hebert. Any further discussions? Seeing none, calling the vote. All right, live cameras at Joe's it is.
Thank you. Next item is item 4G regarding the maintenance of the medians on Highway 98. If you recall at the August the 12th meeting, Coach Bagley threw the challenge flag on the idea of bringing this in-house, which caused us to do an official review. And based on the information we found, which the difficulty of attracting and retaining qualified staff, no lack of staff with appropriate herbicide and pesticide licenses to spray, safety considerations of working in that high traffic area and on steep slopes, lack of resources for proper maintenance of the irrigation system, which are several thousand irrigation heads that have the potential of breaking when a mower runs over them. And then finally, the fiscal responsibility. We just come to find that we don't think this is the right time to do this, so the ruling on the field has been overturned, and Mr. Bagby retains his challenge and is not charged with a timeout. And so, what does that lead us to do tonight? First, we would ask that you allow us to extend the contract with Zick for 3 months, and if you do that, then we would ask you to allow us to go out for bids and include Weber in that solicitation process, and of course any others that we wish to, but we would make reach out specifically to them and ask them for their consideration of that bid. So the first action would be to extend the contract with Zick for 90 days or through the end of the year till the December 31st.
Right, Councilman Bagby.
Mayor, I move that the city council authorize the city manager to re-advertise an RFB for miscellaneous median maintenance services and further authorize the extension of the existing median maintenance contract by 3 months.
Second.
All right, multiple seconds. Any further discussions? Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah. What do we truly feel is going to be different this time around? I think this is our 3rd time going to solicitation. So what are we expecting?
Well, we hope we get some
Realistically.
participation, and we will actively pursue those that as a Weber that are they're there already. So that that would be the logical moves that hope that they would show interest. We do intend to put some guardrails in place that gives us a little more protection for non-performance, and hopefully we can get a better product at the end of the day.
So realistically, besides going after Weber, is there any specific action that we're going to take differently than the past multiple times that we've done this that you know of?
Well, I can't speak to what's happened in the
Right,
past,
right.
but I'll certainly work with our procurement folks to make sure we're getting it in the appropriate places and making the appropriate contacts to the best of our ability, certainly.
Yeah, this is like a cyclical hamster wheel.
Yes, sir.
It's been repeated. I think I brought up 6 or 7 months ago about the contract with Zick, and we extended it back then, and I just hope that we have good success this time around because.
We're gonna give it our best shot,
I think for the
Councilman,
3 months, we were told that we needed to bring it in-house, and now we're told
understand.
it's a horrible decision, so, we have bad maintenance around our city, for sure. I think a lot of our residents agree with that, and so,
Well,
whatever I can do to assist even, I think last time I asked for the link or something, if I can, send that out to people on
Absolutely.
LinkedIn and everything else, I will do much solicitation as I can as
okay.
well.
And from any of you,
Yeah.
if you got any potential out there that may be interested, send them our way. I mean, we want as much participation as we can get.
Councilman Bagby?
Thank you, Mayor. And I would actually entertain going a step further, or I won't put it in a motion form, but something to consider. A lot of these companies doing those islands with all the landscaping that we have in those islands, that is, surgeon work. And it's not like the guys, Weber is more of a right-of-way taken care of, with the 4
Yeah.
bush hogs on each side of the tractor going, cutting the whole right-of-way in 1 or 2 cuts. If they have the equipment, because I don't want, any of our ball fields or anything like that bush hog, but if they have the equipment, if we, I would just ask them if we increased the amount, would that make it more tempting for you to put in a bid? Because there are some places, and it's not even the ball fields, there are some places that Parks and Rec are cutting out of the goodness of their heart, that we could actually turn that into the contract and make it make sense, or make it worthwhile for a company to invest in doing that, as opposed to going up and down the islands on Highway 98.
Right. Okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no further discussion, we'll call the vote. All right, ayes have it. All right, mural.
Thank you. Dr. Young has an item regarding the mural of the installation of the city mural at Captain Royal Melvin Heritage Park. I believe last year it was approved to move forward with in conjunction with the city's 40th anniversary for the city's first mural at Captain Royal Melvin Heritage Park. We're suggesting that we use the artist Kelly Pierre, who is local, is award-winning artist, most recently the 2024 Maddie Kelly Arts Foundation Poster Contest winner, caught it. So staff recommends that you direct the city manager to work with Public Works Information Officer to continue forward the design and installation of the mural at Capitol Royal Melvin Heritage Park.
All right, and with that, Councilwoman Hebert.
I move to direct city manager to work with the public information director to continue forward with the design and installation of the mural at Captain Royal Melvin Heritage Park.
All right, I have a motion. Do I hear a
Second.
second? Second by Councilman Stevens. Any further discussions? All right, seeing none, calling the vote. All right, we're getting a mural. Yay! Years in the making, I think. All right, announcement.
And that's last item for action, but I do have a couple of things from announcement-wise. At the August 19th meeting, you asked staff to meet with the elementary school principals to discuss the crossing guard situation. I want you to know we had that meeting. It was some productive. We didn't come to any resolution other than we made them aware that it was taxing on our code folks. So they agreed that they would look to see if there was some relief they could offer. But in the meantime, we have regrouped on some of our staffing, and Parks and Rec are manning one of the intersections for us, and then Public Works is doing some fill-in work. So we have gotten some relief for our code officers for that, but we are still there, and we'll make sure it's covered. But I did want you to know that we met with the school and had that conversation. And then at August 5th meeting, Councilman Destin asked us to look into reinvigorating the Sister City program that we had some years back. We're working through that process. Just want to, again, let you know that we heard the request and we're all working on it. Dr. Young has been in contact, trying to reach out to the city that we were in a relationship with, and hadn't had any luck yet, but has reached out to the parent organization, and they're trying to help us get that reconnection. So we're moving that forward as well. So just wanted you to make you aware of that. And that's all we have. So thank you.
Dr. Young, you got anything else? Nope.
No, just with that, there were actually evidently two sister organizations in the past or two sister cities over in France. So I was able to look online and find out a little bit of information and get some email contacts. But if any of you happen to retain contacts, or anybody in the community did, and they want to get in touch with me to give me some direct links, that would be terrific.
All right, Councilwoman Aber.
And I know that you've probably seen where folks online have said, is there anything we can do to dress up the post office behind the Publix? And I don't know if they would be interested in having any kind of, mural or something done, or even help getting it spruced up, being a government building. So I didn't know if you had any contacts with them, but it is something people are thinking about.
We do. It's to your left.
We'll definitely
Sounds
check
like a Gates
into it.
office.
Thank you.
Or request. All right, Kim, public hearings.
This is ordinance 2410 CN, an ordinance of the City of Destin of Okaloosa County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for the City of Destin for fiscal year 2025 and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
All right, seeing that this is a public hearing at this time, if anyone from the public wishes to speak on this topic, this is your time to do so. Not everyone jump up at the same time. All right, closing the public comments, and we will go forward, and I can entertain a motion or discussion.
I'll make the motion.
All right, Councilman Bagby with the motion.
Mayor, I move that the council adopt ordinance 24-10-CN on first reading, adopting a proposed fiscal year 2025 millage rate of 1.6150 mils, which is more than the rollback rate of 1.4969 by 7.89%. The second reading will take place at public hearing number 2 on September 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Annex.
All right, I got a motion by Councilman Bagby, second by Councilwoman Hebert. Any further discussions? All right, seeing none, call the vote. All right, and we got some lag going on. All right, down the row.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. All right, ayes have it unanimously, so moved. Oh, come on. All right. All right. Kim, 5B.
Okay, this is ordinance 2411 CN, an ordinance of the City of Destin making appropriations for certain expenditures, expenses, capital improvements, and certain indebtedness of the City of Destin, Florida for the fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024 and ending September 30th, 2025, and providing for an effective date. This is first reading.
All right, seeing that this is first reading, this is also a public hearing, so this is your time to speak on 5Bs. Committee man.
Brian, 3826 Indian Trail. Just do your best to sharpen your pencils, guys. I'm kind of feeling like what everyone else is feeling, that ad valorem tax won't be there for the next few years.
All right, thanks, Sheriff. All right, anyone else from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public comments and entertain a motion at this time.
Mayor, I move that the council adopt ordinance 24-11-CN on first reading to provide for a balanced budget for fiscal year 2025. The second reading will take place at public hearing number 2 on September 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Annex.
All right, I have a motion.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Hebert. Any further discussions? Seeing none, Councilman Schmidt.
This is our budget, right? The item on the budget? Fantastic. If y'all could bear with me, I have a handful of questions to go through. Because this is the final night, or the first of the two final nights, so I just want to make sure that things haven't changed. There's an item for $8,000 for a special election in 2025. Do we have clarification on what that's for? Why we might have a special election in 2025?
Mr. Mayor, that's my item. I was under the impression that I removed that because since we're not having the referendum for the annexation until 2025 or 2026, so my intent was to remove that $10,000 from the books.
So just to confirm, that will be $8,000 less at the next hearing? That'll be gone?
I think so.
Is
Yes,
that
sir.
wrapped up, yeah, Crystal? Is
We
that
all
wrapped
talking
up in
the
the
same thing.
140? All right, so that's wrapped up in the 140. They just line item it.
This is separate.
Okay.
This was, the line item in the budget, it was under city council, under professional services, and it was in case we lost a council member, where we had to refill the position. But Ray intended, when we were trying to make the budget cuts in between May and June, or July, this was an item that the clerk's office, they thought they had removed it and deleted it, but it still was showing up in the system,
So will that be removed?
so I'll remove that.
Cool. Thank you. The budget for healthcare for the city council, $138,000. Is that made up of 7 people?
I'm still a person.
So do we budget for
We-
all 8 of us?
We budgeted for the people that are currently on, and then for the change over, because we don't know, after the November election, if the new people coming in will stay on or not.
Okay, so then that's accurate, and I don't want to break any HERPA violations or anything, but we're talking nearly $50,000 for each council member that's on it?
That's correct. For a family, for each council member who goes with a family coverage.
But individual is paid by the city.
For council, well,
Yes,
yes.
'cause I
Yes,
didn't
for
accept
council
it
members,
because y'all
but-
wouldn't
But
let
that's
us.
what this budget is. That's what this budget is. This is the city's portion, not the council members' portion, right?
Councilwoman Abear has a comment on that topic.
I'm not going to be part of that necessary $50,000 because I have 2 coverages already, and if I'm reelected in November, which I fully expect to be, that'll be $50,000 you can put back in the bank.
Well, it's fine, I don't want to have to get, I just, when you compare it at other departments' line items,
That's a
we're
lot of
more
money.
than others
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's a lot
I'm
of
trying to
money.
understand where that number's coming from.
It's an assumption, which I think we can,
Okay. Well,
make more money back.
Well, if it can't be changed, I get it. But there's also more room in the council contingency and other items in that. The council's budget, I think, went up nearly $100-something thousand compared to last year. Okay. We have $35,000 for cameras for public safety that are going to be installed at somebody's choosing the locations. Can I get some clarification on what that's for? Touring cameras at buildings and other sites.
Which page or account number?
Page 25, this is under public safety. $4,500 per camera with installation.
I'm looking at page 25 under public safety. Are you looking at the Munis detail report?
Yeah, I'm looking at the detail report. I'm looking at the packet that somebody dropped off on my desk when they walked in. On page 25, it says operating supplies, line item 552000 for $35,000.
Now I see it.
Page 25, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is estimated cost per camera, $4,500 with installation.
Under public safety.
Then I do have your answer then. So our existing cameras are made by a company that is based in China and is now on a list of folks that local governments in Florida aren't allowed to use. So this is money to begin, we've already begun with operating money, but begin to phase out those cameras and replace them with US-made touring cameras that match the ones like you just discussed at Joe's Bayou. That's what that money's for.
But we're gonna be able to do it at Joe's Bayou for like 30 bucks?
The cameras at Joe's Bayou are already there.
We just have to change the
All we have to do
subscription?
is, yeah, just flip a switch and we get our live feed.
Okay. Got it. So this is like a IT thing?
It is. It's open for discussion what you would like to do with those cameras, of course. I can.
How many do we have across the entire city? If it's 35,000, it's just a little at a time. How many?
Yeah, it's not really going by camera. It's going by, I think it's called an NVR box. So in each building, you'll have an NVR box that controls all the cameras. There's only about 6 of these boxes,
Okay.
and that's the expensive part.
And so the Chinese, we're not allowed to do it anymore, so they're going to cut them off here pretty soon, or do we have to replace them?
Well, it's sort of an unfunded mandate from the state, so they do love doing that.
You mean they told us that we can't use this company and we need to stop using them?
Right.
Okay.
I have the
They did
same
not
issue,
give us any money, no.
Okay.
Different but the same. My drones can't be. There's a blue flagship now.
And
for
they'll like
drones.
fine us or something if we don't? We have to
I'm not
prove to
aware of
them?
any fines or anything like that. From an IT perspective, we certainly do want to phase these things out. They're very old.
All right.
They are communicating with packets to China.
Thank you, Andy.
You
All
bet.
right, moving to the next one, our code compliance budget. We're estimating 15 units per diem hotel, which is approximately $8,000 to $9,000 per total. What is this for? Page 26. Average budget hotel cost, 1 hotel room for a 5-day class, FACE. So is it to send 15 people to FACE this coming year?
Well, we wanted a budget for those that have not been to FACE to get them there, and if they've already had a FACE class, to get another one.
Oh, so you can do more than this
Yeah,
level
there's
2,
4
level
FACE
3.
certifications.
Okay.
And we were fortunate to be able to bring FACE in this past year, back in February, first time they ever hosted at the city of Destin. They don't typically hold a ton of courses on this side of the state. And so most of them are, the other side.
And what does FACE give you?
Well, it's the Florida Association of Code Enforcement, and they offer 4 certifications: fundamentals of code enforcement, legal aspects of code enforcement, officer safety for code enforcement, and
Aren't we also trying to hire a training person within our city?
Well, we had a deputy position open and an ops training coordinator position that was open.
Okay.
I mean, we obviously look to do as much in-house and free training as possible, but these certifications, they do cost
Out of
money.
our, how many staff members do we have right now? 7 or 8?
I think we're upwards of, we just had somebody start today, somebody start last week, so
Right.
yeah, probably closer to 10.
And do any of them have all 3 or 4 certifications?
No.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, well, I understand the want to go do those, but from what I hear around the community, I think we should look at spending money on just internal City of Destin training, our code, our LDC, our things. So I would just be careful with that budget for my personal opinion, but thank you for the answer.
You're welcome.
The merchant services, Crystal, for code department, $30-something thousand to fees and collections for licenses and permits and Compass. Is that like an accurate number?
Yes, it is.
And that's just like
Yeah, it's the, because we use Energov, we're restricted to one certain merchant services
Right.
provider. When we transfer away from
Better.
Energov this coming summer in June, we'll be able to move to a different merchant services provider, then those costs should come down significantly.
Okay, that'd be great savings. Okay. We paying a monthly, moving on to Leonard Destin Park, page 37, 47. Monthly pool cleaner for $2,700 a month. Pool maintenance for the splash pad, March through October, for 8 months. Is this new, or have we always done this?
We have had them since well, the first year or two, yeah. So we've had them for over a year now.
What do they do for us?
Well, so the splash pad does have to be checked, to make sure all the chemicals are good every day. We actually do it twice a day. So we have them come and, it's kind of time consuming.
Right. Do you think it's like a specialized, there's like only one company in the area that offers that specific service?
Actually, it's been very hard.
To deal with the splash pads, there's only been a select couple that have even entertained it, and they've been the one that's local and the most responsive.
Okay. Great. Sure. Hey, I got a few more, so you stop me and go ahead.
I was going to ask about that, Tim, so I'm glad he brought it up. So did they give us a break for the weeks that splash pad was that inactive? Did we get any kind of discount so that we're not paying for something that isn't used?
Yeah, we cut them off right away. Yes.
Great. Okay, thank y'all. Under the next page, which is the section just called Parks, 157283. What is Parks? Because we have Leonard Destin Park section, we have Morgan's Park, we have Community Center Park. What is this?
So, parks. So Morgan's has its own budget.
Right.
Community Center has its own budget. Leonard Destin has its own budget.
TDC Waterfront, I saw.
TDC. And so this is parks. This is all of our parks.
Just the leftover parks, accesses.
Yes, all the other parks that we take care of.
So the miscellaneous contract services for $20,000, is that cleaning bathrooms? It shouldn't be bathrooms because bathrooms would be covered under Morgan's or community. So is there any particular?
For parks.
Parks.
So we do continuing, really that's been kind of a catch-all. If we need expert opinions on irrigation, like what we just had, an expert come and help us because our staff was having trouble with irrigation. When we contract out for,
I don't want to take money away from parks, but it sounds like an extra bucket, for catch-all,
Yes,
So
and if we
there's
don't.
a lot of buckets under the parks pages. It's our biggest department, right? I know. Okay, got it. Thank you. Utilities. Are these based on actuals, Crystal?
Yes, sir, this is the trend.
So when we look at utilities at Morgan's for $29,000, and then we look at utilities at Little League, which is actually the City of Destin's Threadgill Park, of $17,000, it's really that difference?
Yes.
For a park that's utilized 6 or 7 months out of the year versus one that's utilized 12 months? Okay.
Lisa or Michael,
Actuals.
you two follow the utility bills for all the parks. Can you speak more to this?
Okay, well, I'll come back to that one then. Because when you look at community center utilities, I think it's nearly $50,000 or $60,000, so I'm just unsure about the utilities budgeting. The amazing fireworks display. We had the drones. In the budget, we have $40,000 for fireworks. Are we talking at all, Dr. Young, about budgeting for drones, or is it in discussion? Do we know the amount or anything?
That's a good question, and
Yeah.
in that way, as small of a staff as we are, and we work so well together, the drones obviously were particularly for the 40th, and
Right.
that came under public information, and I was
Right.
in charge of that piece. The fireworks are something that Lisa and her crew
Do you
run.
know how much the drone show
Yes, we
was?
spent $20,000 on that.
Just for the drone himself, or all the festivities that you did?
The drones themselves, yes, was $20,000. And then we spent about $5,000 more on the bands and some cupcakes
Mr.
and
Ladner,
all that other good
do
stuff.
you think fireworks should cost twice the amount as drone show?
I'm biased.
The lawyer tells me I'm biased.
But
so-
based on your experience, your history, your
I mean,
knowledge.
that's a
and
whole
then-
other ballgame than what I do. Yeah, I got one drone, not
Counselor
300.
Counselor Schmidt, I have an answer for you.
Sure.
Just looking at last month's power bill for 711 Hickory Street, which is Dalton Threadgill, the power bill was $2,100 last month. Just for that 1 month. And every month is a separate file, so it would take me a minute to go through all of them. But for example, out of that parks budget that you mentioned, the 157283, the total parks power allotment was $2,929.
It might be worthwhile doing a little bit of auditing on some utilities, because if for a park that's particularly not even being run last month, it's a lot of money. I mean, I don't think we had a lot of city functions over there. I know the Little League themselves aren't even using it in August, so it might be worthwhile to put a note somewhere of finding out why it's over $2,000 for an air conditioner to run, I think. Okay.
Here, if you'll be patient with me, I'll pull up the June.
No, you're fine. Holiday decor, where do we land on the 70K? Are we buying it for the 70K? Are we buying it and storing it, or are we contracting it? I know we wanted 140 and we approved 70.
Right.
Is
So
it,
70 will give us a couple Royal and maybe some, or it will Main Street, and those would be the subcontractor would purchase and store and put them back up.
so that's going to be probably to contract out. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm hoping to.
That's what we're hoping to. Because that'll come back to at some point, I imagine, right? And we have to actually approve
Yeah,
that.
you'll
Yeah.
see that. I'm talking to a few different companies and getting some you know,
Okay.
pricing, so if you say yes, we'll bring it to you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for your patience there. Like I said, Parks and Rec, as we all know, it's the biggest budgeted item in our city that we have. It's very important. There are a lot of buckets though in there, you know, and so I think it wouldn't hurt to maybe take that pencil, like somebody was saying earlier, and make sure we're all on the right page. But yeah, okay. I think I'm good for now. That gives me my answers for the next meeting where we finalize it all. So thank you. Thanks for your patience.
Right. Councilman Destin.
Thank you, Mayor. Does this budget contain increases in fees for permits or any fees throughout the city?
No, sir, because council has not moved to adopt any fee changes.
Okay. I think several meetings ago, or maybe just one meeting ago, we requested that you give us a more precise figure on what a 3% reduction in operating budgets would be. Is it in there?
Yeah, there's a description on the agenda cover page, and I handed out to each of the council members the changes from the July 15th to the August 12th. So you can see from July 15th to August 12th, we decreased the budget by about $350,000, which is close to 2% of operations from what it was from meeting to meeting. The details of all of the changes were on slides 10 and 11 in the August 12th slide presentation, which luck would have it is also in this agenda under agenda item 4E. So do you have any specific questions, or shall I review those changes again?
Okay. At the moment, I think I'm good.
Councilman Bagney.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. I probably misunderstood or misheard you. On personnel budgeting, you normally budget that everybody takes the health care, and then when they don't, because you can't you can't say, well, historically, only 50% of the people have taken the health care package, so that's what we're going to budget for because they can become a family. A single person can become a family, or a council member can decide to join, or somebody who wasn't on it last year. So typically in public budgets, you budget 100% taking it, and then you can readjust from that. Is that what we did, or are you? So how many council members, additional council members for this budget period, do you think are going to be on?
So
the city's
currently we
healthcare?
have 4 council members who are on, and I think they budgeted, I don't have Jamie, do you have the details in front of you? So Jamie's pulling up the details on the other council members. For all of the staffed positions, we took all of the filled positions, and we assumed that most of those would continue with the same people at the same insurance level that they're at. For all of the vacant positions, we took an average of somewhere between individual employee compared to a family, because that tends to be a bit higher than happens in actuality. Year over year, we tend not to go over budget in terms of the insurance.
Okay, that makes me a little nervous, but we'll see as the year plays out.
But you're correct. We have I'd say more than 50% of the employees are currently doing employee-only insurance, and you're absolutely correct. They could change that to employee plus spouse or employee plus child at any time.
Yeah, because in public budgets, that's usually, I don't want to call it fluff, that's where you find your extra, because when you budget at 100%, number one, you always have underlap, you always have vacant positions, maybe not the same vacant positions. You always have people who decide not to take health care, or they're on their spouse's health care, the school system or whatever. And then, at about the 6-month period, you look and say, okay, we're way behind on our personnel budget. Now maybe we can move some of that, but that's fine. We'll look at that later. Troy, on FACE, let me ask the city staff a general question. We have a lot of money in here for training. That's a great thing. Do we have any policy or any rule that says, if you leave within 6 months or a year or whatever, that you will owe us for the training that you took or qualified for the previous year?
We don't currently have a policy like that, but that is something that I would like to write into a revision.
We need to have a policy, and I don't want to be onerous and I don't want to be punitive, but what I want to do is be fair. If we have code enforcement officers going for FACE training and they have to go down to St. Pete or Miami or wherever they're having it, if they leave within a year, they ought to owe us the cost, because usually they'll leave, they get that certification, and that makes them more valuable, but we paid for that certification, and we ought to reap some benefit for that payment, as opposed to Walton County or wherever they're, Fort Walton Beach City. And so, even if it's just $1,000 that their per diem and their hotel costs and all that, we ought to reap something from that. So I would ask that y'all bring us back a policy probably in October for us to enact on the personnel side. That should give us time to get through the budget and all this other stuff that we're fighting. So that's all I have for now.
All right. Good point. I know our firemen do that. Fire department does that. All right. Any further discussions? Round 1 of 2.
Let me just
Councilman
make sure that I understand it. We're going to have a second budget hearing. Unlike the ordinary ordinance process, and I've talked to the attorney and the manager today, if you change, you don't have to go back to first reading. That does not apply in this process. That's correct. So we can still make dramatic changes, whatever changes we think are appropriate at this next budget hearing. Just want to clarify that matter.
I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Oh, you always do. I got my pencil out to take notes.
So I do have one request, given the item that was approved earlier in the meeting regarding the mowing and ZIC. I just want to make sure we have consensus that I can change the mowing personnel in-house to contracted services for median maintenance.
Yeah, I think so.
That'll be two
I would
changes.
think so, and I will make, if you need a motion, I'll make that motion, because that's what we told you to do, is not bring it in-house, but I want to give you the flexibility to see if you put more responsibility or more area in that request for a bid, that you have the flexibility to do that.
Yes, sir. So in the request for bids that we're going to put out, we have our traditional median areas, but we've also listed a lot of the different places that Parks and Rec are currently covering as optionals, like a menu, so that the council can pick and choose which areas it would prefer to contract out.
All right, so Councilman Destin, push the button.
That we direct the staff to change the money for the.
We're in the middle of the motion.
Oh.
Well, no, you can't pass the first one without the second.
Yeah. I'll withdraw my.
There we go.
Temporarily.
All right.
In that case, I will make a motion to direct finance director to change the money that's in for maintenance from where she has it to contract.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Seeing no further discussions, call the vote. Dewey's taught me well about this Robert's Rule thing. Yeah, right, we're. Ray's making a custom. All right, ayes have it unanimously. There you go. All right, so back to the original motion.
I move that we adopt.
Microphone.
I'm sorry. I move that we adopt ordinance 2411-CN on first reading and have it come back before the council at the next meeting,
Second.
September 16th.
All right, motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, we will call the vote. All right, down the row.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. All right, ayes have it unanimously for those who didn't put their. Hey, there it is. Look at that. All right, we're getting our money back. We're keeping the product and we're getting our money back. Jim.
Oh. Uh-oh. What is that doing? Okay. On page, thank you, yep. No page number. So in the back up for the motion that we just passed, on page, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. It has the breakout of a schedule of proposed recoupment percentages for each of the following. And you did bring that back, and that was what Mr. Destin's question was about. I was scanning through to find it. Is that incorporated in this budget, or that's just the numbers that you followed his direction and you brought back how to recoup funds? So my question is, when will that actually come back for us to chew over, discuss, and hopefully pass something? I know we won't pass this, but.
Yes, so the first item, which is building permit fees, the details are coming to council at the next meeting on September 16th with 3TP, with all of their research and everything behind it. They've drastically simplified the building permit fee schedule, and so some have gone up, some have gone down, some have gone away altogether. So you'll see the fresh new proposed building fee schedule September 16th. Mobility impact fees, we were aiming for October. And again, we need to adopt the mobility plan. And you will also have a second review of proposed mobility impact fees for both the residential and the commercial, based upon the formula that was chosen by council at a previous meeting recently. Library impact fees, there's no scheduled timeline. We don't have a rate consultant looking at these right now. So that could be farther out into the future. Recreation fees, this is one of the items that is in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The bids to do the Parks and Recreation Master Plan are coming back at the end of September. And I'm not sure exactly where on the timeline schedule the fee component will be for recreation. NPEB fees have been circulating around through the committees, and I don't see any building department people here who can tell us when those will be coming to council. Oh, well, building official, do you know?
No,
But yeah, we have the building official, but we don't have planning department people here.
So,
Right now, but, yeah, I know it's been going through big committees, but I don't have an answer when that's coming forward. Oh, I mean, hopefully in the next month or two.
So, I appreciate that. I would, and I understand you're trying to link it to a consultant bringing back some research or comparison with other cities or whatever. But I would ask the staff and the city manager to bring this back, all of these individually, since you're not bringing them back collectively, by the end of January of 2025. And the reason I do that is right after that we go into our strategic planning for 2026, and then we go into our budget development. And I want to have these numbers. I don't want us to be guessing, because I think there's going to be a lot of divergent views on each one of these, and we owe it to you to settle it and give you direction, increase it 3% or increase it 40% or whatever, prior to starting the budgeting process for next year.
Yeah, I know for a fact that we are bringing them individually. Like I said, the building permit fees are coming next meeting, and then October is coming the mobility fee. Like I said, I don't know where the impact fees are right now, and then I know that MPB fee will be in play here shortly as well. So they're coming.
Answer your question that you actually.
It does. I do have a housekeeping question though. We've passed several resolutions that say when legislative matters come before us, they should have a legislative sponsor. We have not been doing that at all. And I think that increases that are in the neighborhood of 600, 700% should have a legislative sponsor on this council. And if we need to make that even more clear, then we can do that at the next meeting or some subsequent meeting. But, you know, to be fair to our citizens, they need to know where some of these dramatic increases are coming from. So we can discuss how to make that where it's not optional, which it appears to be over the last year or two, and everybody has to stand up and salute the flag when they're ready to do something.
All right. Seeing no further discussions.
Just for some clarification, Mr. Bagby,
Yes.
I love your idea. Do you want to put that in a motion form so we get that by January, or you want to have them actually come back to us next meeting and actually tell us that they can do that first, so it doesn't just go nowhere?
I'll be
Listen, I don't
nice.
wanna
I'll be
overload-
nice this time and say I would like you to bring back the schedule, proposed schedule for each of these fees when it's going to come before us. I know because some of them are set, and some of them, you know, we could kick this can down the road for a year and a half before. And I'm not into kicking the can down the road anymore. I just.
Because I've heard it's the council's not making the change. We're not increasing things, so I'm with you.
Right.
So let's see it then.
Yeah,
That's
well,
what you're asking.
if they bring us the schedule, and that shouldn't be hard to do. That's not a hard ask because you got half of these already.
Sounds good.
You know when they're coming. So I would ask you bring the schedule of all the fee reviews and enhancements, or whatever we're calling it here, to the next meeting. That way you don't have to do a lot of stuff, and it gives you 2 more weeks.
I understand, yeah. So, yeah, each phase is a study, and each study will bring forward to you those reports, and yes, we'll get you a
Well,
schedule.
yeah, the building permit fees, September 16th. The mobility impact fees, October 2nd meeting, or whatever. You know, that's all the detail I personally need. I just want to see, now we have a milestone, we have a mark on the wall, and then I can judge we either met the milestone or we didn't meet the milestone, and then we can have a nice long discussion if we didn't meet the milestone.
I want to make that motion in the form of a motion.
I'll second.
All right. We need those numbers.
All right. Any further discussions? Oh, I stayed there. And the software didn't like it. All right. I'm getting back in. You see? All right, there we go. All right, ayes have it unanimously, 6-0. So moved. Anything further before we move on? All right, seeing none, we got all the votes done? I think so. All right, comments, presentations from the council. Councilman Stevens.
Thank you. I got nothing tonight.
All right, Councilman Dustin.
Thank you, Mayor. I do want to ask a code question. I think a meeting or 2 meetings ago, we moved to direct the city attorney to work with code enforcement to have some education sessions. I don't know if we said bi-monthly, but we did make the motion that passed unanimously to direct that to happen. Code, what's happening on that motion by the council?
Had a conversation with Tina last week. Now she's out for a spell, but I think we're looking the 2nd week of September to have that first training session.
And this is with the city attorney, right?
Well, she would be part of it, but community development and their people.
And is that what's going down, city attorney?
Tina will be back Monday, so I'll ask her. So I wasn't a part of that conversation, but I'm sure they had it.
Okay, well, bring us a report at the next meeting that is, if that is going forward and what the schedule is.
Will do. Thanks.
And one other question I had, there was a question tonight about how we handle the issuance of violations or tickets or whatever we call them. Is there any backup system that assures that when you get one of those things issued, that it actually is adjudicated at some point?
If it's once a citation is issued, then we turned it in, and then the court would schedule a hearing.
Okay, but I mean, is there some kind of audit system? You give a citation, it comes out of I guess we have books, right?
We have some that are books, and we have some that are printed.
Okay, you give one, is it a carbon so that you can go back and check and make sure it actually went into the system for adjudication?
I mean, we do keep copies. I don't know that we, I'll have to double check to see if we go back and see if there's every ticket is the court scheduled one. Some people just go in and pay it, and we don't have a court hearing. And I'm not sure if that's what you're asking, but yeah.
How would you pay it if it's not been into the system? We have an answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you jump to a mic? Jump to the mic.
Come up where we can talk to you, hear you.
When the citation comes in, the officer gives it to me. I put it and enter it in the system to the officer, to the Okaloosa County Clerk of Court, and it goes to them, and there's a filing number, an MO number, and it goes to them. I keep the receipt, the copy, and everything, and I put it in a folder. So I have every ticket, every citation that's been.
Okay, so that goes into the computer also, right?
Yeah, it goes into the computer. You enter it into the computer. I don't send it to Okaloosa. I actually enter it in. There's a website that we have, and I have to enter that citation into that software and that website. And they take care of that. and then sometime someone might want to appeal it or whatever, and we'll get that back also against what officer it is or whatever. And we have all the records right there in the office.
So if I were to give you a ticket number, you could tell me exactly where it went?
You have to tell me the name of the person, and then I can pull it up, yes.
Okay. Thanks. Just want to make sure that we've got some kind of backup system that is making sure that it's all done correctly. Thanks.
Councilman Bagby?
Two quick things. Could you refresh my memory on probably Dr. Tamara on how we've gotten the word out on the rental fee applying to condos? Because every week we get 2 or 3 more, and good thing I'm not on the next ballot, but when I start reading it, usually within the first or second sentence it says, applying to all condos required to pay this fee. And I just say, nope, because you've got bad information. What have we done, or what are we planning on doing to get the word out to these people? This is for condos that are running as a business, okay, that are making revenue, not every condo, because half these people don't rent their condo, or probably 40% don't rent their condo, and it doesn't apply to them, but their condo association said, send this in, and it's like, why are they doing this to these people?
Yeah, that's something that Director Williams and then also I would, Sherry Burney and some others, we need to sit down and really brainstorm on how best to get it out. We have been responding directly to the questions and requests as they've come into us. They've often been forwarded by Councilman Aber because they're going to you guys individually, so I'm not seeing them the way I normally would. But in terms of the direct responses, I've been in charge of that, and anytime we get one to one of you that's forwarded to me, we're responding that day.
Okay, because it's one of our duties is to make sure we inform the electorate and the condo owner, the property owners, the voters, the citizens of this community. And you do a great job, but on this one issue, and I know it's just a couple of condo associations, I'm not painting a broad brush here, but they all come from 1 or 2 condos.
I don't disagree, and you can see in many cases it's a copy and paste piece of it, the way that we're receiving them. I should add this to you, we did put out a couple of news releases on it when we first made that big statement as well.
Okay. And then we talked about this, and then we talked about it, and then we let it sit for about 6 months, and then we talked about it again, and we let it sit for another 4 months. Proactive code, if you notice the county to our east and one of the communities have engaged in we're going to go proactive, but we talked about how we're being proactive, but every day, people see where we're not being proactive. And of course, my position is we need to narrow down, parking in the right-of-way, signage, 3 or 4 things, and say, if you see it, give them a ticket. It doesn't matter. They don't get a 3 days or 72 hours or a week or whatever. That's a violation of our code, and we're going to be proactive in the enforcement of that. Where are we on identifying what we're going to proactively enforce as opposed to complaint/reactively enforce?
I mean, I think any of the code that we see is proactive enforcement. I mean, again, if you're talking recent emails, I mean, there's some trash cans out. I mean, I had 3 people out sick this week, so while, it's needs to be addressed, we have limited staffing. We hired somebody today. We hired a person last week, and I think we're having another one start next week. So we're trying to address these as quickly as possible, but I mean, it is limited staffing. It's a big city.
I get that, and I wasn't talking about the recent emails, even the emails we've gotten in the last 2 weeks. I'm just talking about we've had an ongoing discussion about proactive enforcement of, and some of us want proactive enforcement of all the codes. I would like that, but I don't think that's feasible or possible. They'd never make it out of my neighborhood because they would be in my neighborhood 5 days a week, 12 hours a day writing tickets to my neighbors and me. So Well, I make mistakes. So I tell you what, Mr. City Manager, put under my name next meeting a discussion on proactive codes, and I will try to work with Troy to come up with some, 3 or 4 things that they get tickets.
And I appreciate that, because that was going to be my request. If we can narrow it down to what this council wants to see proactively enforced, we'll be more than happy to, put our best foot out and get that done. But to your comments, we need some clarity, and we'll ask for that, and so I would appreciate that, and we'd be glad to do that. Thank you.
Yeah, and we're not, and I get it, we're not the only people dealing with this. This pops up, weekly, and Walton County, I won't even go into their discussion or their issues with this issue, but it's time we just said that we're not going to take it anymore. And so on 3 or 4 bases, yeah, I want you to enforce all the codes, and 95% of them can be reactive. There has to be somebody complaint, and we've had council members say, give them my name, and I'll call it in. If you're a citizen and you don't want, your neighbor being mad at you, you can put my name on it. I don't care. But there's 3 or 4 areas that we really need to tighten up and just say, hey, we're not going to stand for this.
All right, Councilwoman Naver.
I was going to speak to that, but since Jim already did it, said it, I'm kind of happy with that, so I'll leave it at that. That's all I have.
All right, Councilman King.
Nothing tonight, thanks.
Councilman Schmidt.
Yeah, a couple quick things. Mr. Larry, we, a year or 2 ago, we had a potential development coming up for a parking garage down the street behind McGuire's restaurant. Sorry about it. I don't know if we know what the status of that is right now, but could we look into what the status of that garage is, and then if there's discussions that we can have with them to further understand if there's a delay for a reason, what a potential partnership would look like with the city of a potential parking garage on our parcel? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. I can take a look at it. A couple of years ago behind McGuire's.
I'm sure some of the staff members
I
would know, but I know
understand.
Brian's
We got
gone
it.
now,
Yeah,
different
we got it.
people, so.
Planning
we'll
knows the
figure it out.
status.
Planning, right.
But I thought that was abandoned. Am I wrong?
Well, I know it went
You
through.
don't have to answer it tonight.
No, we'll find out.
I think it went through a development, if I recall. Don't hold me to it. But we'll confirm with planning. But yeah, it kind of went stagnant, but we'll bring information back to you.
Right, because we have SRS right now talking about pretty soon some ideas and plans, and it'd be nice to maybe know if that discussion should lead us somewhere to the SRS team, and rather than just wondering about what the heck happened, maybe we could just find out. Cool.
I do know for a fact, if there was a development order and they didn't act on that
Correct.
development order
I think
within
we're all-
that a year,
Right.
then now it's no longer
Right. And
valid.
then one more thing to go backwards, if you don't mind. Mr. Destin asked about the 3% reduction in the operational budget. I see where it was highlighted in the packet that says the changes between 715 and 812 were outlined. Where can I find that 3% reduction that was done in the operating budget?
So you have the detail sheet. It was handed out to you along with the detailed packet.
The one you
here.
came by tonight with?
Yes. So that shows where we were on 715 compared to what was brought to you on, well, it shows them side by side. It just doesn't show the variance. The total at the bottom is the difference. It was $314,000. So staff did not quite get to the.
So it's 1.7?
Right, so it's
Right.
a 1.7% reduction, they didn't get to the full 3%. But I wonder if there were other issues, like Ray mentioned, the $10,000
Sure.
special election money that he thought he zeroed that out. But as you can see in the report I ran this evening to hand out, it was still in there.
Right, and then when it says that it was on the 812
cover agenda package. Like it was like, you know, it says in the item tonight that the changes were outlined on the cover of the 812 agenda package. So
And that's true, and it just so happens that that agenda cover package is right here in your
tonight's
in your packet, item 4E.
So where
right, here's the agenda item cover for 4E.
I'm with you.
And if you go to
Operating
the first page,
expenditure
it says
updates?
operating revenue updates, operating expenditure updates, like remove 96,000 for special pay, reduce new position proposal
Right.
from 5 FTEs down to 5 FTEs, and so on and so forth. And then also in the presentation, it lists the actual dollar amounts. I think it's on page 5 of the presentation.
So here's just
Under the header, changes since the 715 workshop.
Okay.
Reduced RC 216 Clement Taylor Park renovations by to 1.7 million. So that was a reduction of 260,000 and so forth. So all of the reductions are listed here as well.
you're looking at changes since 715,
Yes,
ops and CIP reduction.
right.
Right. So just food for thought on this. The way I read that is that we reduced it by things such as median maintenance. We're not going to need certain employees anymore. We removed it by because the health insurance decreased. Well, we didn't do that. Health insurance decreased. The health insurance provider decreased it. We did reduce the COLA. Some folks wanted to do that. We increased the lifeguard. So, when you really start thinking about it, at least for me personally, I don't think we reduced the operating budget, actually reduced the operating budget. We found things that were forced to be reduced by outside reasons.
Right, please recall that
Sure.
this directive did not come from council.
The reduction?
Right.
Okay.
It came from Lewis internally. Let's try to reduce the budget approximately.
Just take an
He was
effort.
aiming for between $400,000 and $600,000.
Okay.
Came to staff on a Thursday evening
Right.
as we're publishing for you to adopt our tentative millage rate.
Okay.
And then he hasn't been here since then to help to keep that boat moving.
Right, and I don't disagree with you, and this is not to. I just want to be a little bit more transparent about advertising the reduction of it, because while I do agree with you about the attempts to reduce
Right. Again, it
right.
wasn't a council directive.
Right. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing the reduction because, like Mr. Destin said, hearing number 2, right? So that's.
Yeah. Kevin, I'm glad you asked the question. We have not voted to reduce the budget, operating budgets by 3%, and it's not reflected in this budget, is it?
This budget is about $340,000 lower than the budget that was presented on July 15th.
Okay,
on
Yep,
whatever-
yes, it
yeah,
is,
on July
but
15th.
Crystal, it is not at the direction or motion of the council, and if a motion should be
That's
made
correct.
at the next meeting, which perhaps it will be, to reduce the operating budgets by 3%, and to leave how you reduce it to your department heads and to yourself, then that would be an actual 3% reduction that the council did.
That's correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we have not, through our motion, reduced the operating budget at all, but we may well.
Good to go. All right. The first up is a resolution. At this point, I'm sure all of you are well aware of Florida Department of Environmental Protection and their magnificent, I say with sarcasm, plan to commercialize our environment. It seems like everything is getting drawn back, but since we are the closest city to the state park, main one in this discussion would be Topsail. I like what they're doing with Grayton Beach. To be fully transparent, it only was going to be 10 little tents that they're going to build out as far as their units, but a 350-unit hotel with some other amenities at a state park just seems out of character. And so I just wanted to ask us to make a official resolution just being opposed to large-scale development projects on FDEP state park land. So I wanted to bring it in front of you guys for a vote, but I am, of course, all in favor of this, trying to bring this forward, and wanted to get your guys' discussion and discernment on this.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to have you and the city manager put together the letter in support of that.
Okay?
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? All right, seeing none, calling the vote. All right, ayes have it. Thank you for that. Being on the side of trying to save money, something that I'm thinking when I was diving into everything is with a city engineer out now, and we just have a lot of open gaps. And we have a lot of projects, current major projects, and a lot on the horizon that we have budgeted. We're almost at 19, I think, that are budgeted, either happening or about to start happening this next year. That we look at somehow creating a project management position only from the stance of saving money, because as of right now, it looks like for even smaller projects like a batting cage, we're going to have the third party out to either DAG or Matrix or some other third party. And it just seems like some of these estimates for the third party, while necessary for some large scale stuff, I believe, dare I say, half of these projects we could probably handle in-house with just someone managing it. I know we were talking, I hate to put you on the spot, Lisa, even with the batting cages, I mean, we were talking this morning, that's kind of really what got me sparked and started going through the books even more until the meeting today. Like what we're anticipating for a project manager out of house. Yeah, outhouse. Yeah. I know we're trying to get outhouses in Morgan's. Third-party management, even for like a batting cage, and what that would look like. Whereas if we had someone in-house managing some of these more manageable projects, you said 20 earlier. I don't know if that's still what you're thinking, or maybe less now.
I haven't got that. They were saying about that.
Okay.
But we haven't got that price yet.
Okay. Either way,
But
we were
it's
talking
going
about
to
it,
add to
and me and Larry, after you left, me and Larry were talking, and basically what I'm trying to get from you guys is we do have a position in the city manager's office right now that I feel could handle the workload that we're trying and already are budgeting if, second round of budget next meeting happens. I think we could potentially save money if we brought a project manager in-house and only brought the necessities of DAG or Matrix to us when we needed it. And the only dollars I could find were through the city manager's budget with their second position that's been vacant for over a year now, obviously since Web Loss has gone. Not that it needs to be a deputy manager or assistant manager or whatever we wanted to call it, but to transfer that position only for the sake of trying to save money on these projects that we already have funded. So that was just something that I was coming across today and wanted to get people's thoughts, potentially a motion. Me and Larry had talked about it, and he was in favor of it, but being respectful where he's at. Larry, if you have anything to add to that kind of brings some clarity to this. I'm
Certainly. My experience has been when you have a project manager, your projects get managed much better. So there is an opportunity, I think, with a vacant position in the city manager's office to fulfill that role. And I know that, we have Jeff that's in that role now. We would like to see a split, for lack of a better term, of those duties, and have one individual pursuing money to apply to these projects and the other managing the projects to make sure we're getting the most out of those who are completing the projects. So, those of you that have been in business and have managed big projects, you know that if you don't manage them properly, you get things you don't want to happen. So that was the conversation that the mayor and I had this morning. So, for your consideration, that would be something we would look favorably on and believe would be a benefit to the operations of the city in pretty much all areas, because there are a number of varied projects and many more to come. And as we, get our arms wrapped around these things, we think we'll see some cost savings.
Councilwoman Aber?
City Manager, do you have somebody in mind that you already know that is looking for this kind of like, not a permanent position, or are we looking for this to be somebody we hire on and that's their permanent job, is to manage our projects from here on out, if they're not like at the DAG level?
No, ma'am, I do not have anyone in mind, and the permanency of it would be at the council's discretion. It's certainly something that, we could take whatever direction you offer. If it's, let's get a handle of what we got and then see where it goes, that would certainly work as well. However, in the recruitment process, it's going to be more difficult to recruit somebody to say, we want you to come fix some things and then we'll be through with you. So, yeah. But we serve at your pleasure and, whatever direction you would offer.
Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I hear you. I feel like we've visited this a few times over the past couple of years. And I feel like we've either made decisions, maybe we did and we just didn't follow through. I couldn't tell you. I feel like we've talked about our continuing contract people that we have. We brought in, we added some, I think it was when Kyle was here, we added services to a current person to do just these types of things, I think. I think we've talked about that before, because we talked about Jeff and the project manager, but he's the grants manager. He doesn't manage a project. And I think it was also during the failure of the park on the harbor that took 72 years. And then I think it was all during this time frame. And I think we have a continuing service guy that we're supposed to be able to bring in when we have a project that we need them to manage. And maybe a batting cage is too small, it doesn't fit their price, I don't know. But maybe we should go back and look at what we actually have right now. I think I remember Mr. Destin talked about his school district experience and them hiring somebody. So maybe we just need to brush off what we have. And we might kind of already have it. Not in-house, but we have something, I feel like, at our fingertips that maybe we're not using.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just looking at what a position we've, for multiple reasons that are very valid, has been vacant forever and trying to figure out.
You're talking about this assistant manager position?
I would say change the title until we figure out what we need of it, because we haven't used it in 2 years. So at this point,
I would prefer to find out what we have already
Okay.
before we start, me personally, before we go down that road about
absolutely.
creating a new position that show us that we need it.
Yeah.
Show me the project, show me what we're actually working on, what we're doing, what we need, and then maybe talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my thought.
Councilman Destin?
We did in fact enter into a construction management contract with a company, and to the best of my knowledge, we've never used it. We need to look at what that is, and then if the city manager wants to make a proposal to us, I'll be happy to listen to it.
Councilman Bagby?
Yeah, I was going to point that out. The other thing I would say is this is actually two problems. This is a short-term problem, immediate problem for the projects that we have. And if we can find, use the contract as a vehicle. The long-term problem is better suited probably to our strategic planning conversation next spring and say, we've had a vacant deputy assistant city manager, whatever the position is, for a while. Of course, we could have used that, but fortunately we got lucky and you were available, but that's not always going to happen. So do we want to rework the job description of that or the title of that position, and for the long run say this will be our fallback, and for batting cage it may not be worth our to go.
That was probably a bad
somebody.
example, but that was just something that came off the top of my head from this morning's discussion.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lisa. I didn't mean to drag you
That's
into
okay.
this.
That's okay. So, but
That was
I
a
think
good
we have two
example.
problems. That we need to address the alligator in the boat, and then address the long-term solution a little bit later in the cycle.
All right, so with that, I think we kind of have our marching order then. All right. All right, public comments. I'm sorry, Kim.
I do have one thing. As you know, there are 5 seats open for city council in November, 7 candidates. And just for the public's knowledge, there is going to be a candidate forum here in the annex on October 1st from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The city clerk will be taking minutes. Staff is looking into whether it can be live streamed. I just wanted to make you all aware of that. However, it is not a city event. It is going to be held by the Chamber and ECAR.
Awesome. And my understanding is that it will be advertised as a sunshine meeting.
That's why I'm mentioning it, and that's why I mentioned the clerk would be taking minutes and that we would be live streaming, because even though it's not a city event, there will definitely be 2 or more council members there. In fact, I'm told by Mr. Moody that all 7 candidates plan to attend, which is all of the incumbents that are running, plus the 3 other candidates.
So are we obliged, since it's taking place in a city facility, to advertise it like we would a public meeting?
We are going to do so.
Very good.
That's what we're doing.
All right. Public comments. We'll change up the order. My left, y'all's right. No one tonight? All right. It is 7:46. I call this meeting adjourned.